Have you ever wondered why some people seem to achieve their goals without feeling overwhelmed or stressed while others struggle every day? What if the secret isn't about working harder, but about building a simple system that helps your future grow effortlessly? Imagine waking up each morning with a clear plan that fits what truly matters to you. Picture yourself making small choices daily that add up to big changes over time without feeling like a constant battle. This is not about quick fixes or magical shortcuts. It's about creating a reliable routine that moves you forward step by step. You might be thinking, that sounds good, but I don't know where to start or how to stay consistent. That's exactly why this guide exists, to help you build a system tailored for your life, one that makes progress feel natural instead of forced. Throughout this journey, you will learn how to plan your days with purpose, track your habits with intention, and face challenges with discipline. You will discover how to replace distractions with real goals and surround yourself with the right people who lift you higher. Most importantly, you will find out why repeating these actions every day is the key to making success a natural part of who you are. If you're ready to stop spinning your wheels and start growing your future step by step, this is the moment to take control. Let's build your system together and watch how your life transforms without the struggle you've been used to. Stay with me and see how your future can grow effortlessly. Chapter 1. Define exactly what you want and why daily. Most people wake up and move through their day without ever asking themselves the most important question they could. What do I truly want? Not what others expect, not what society applauds, but what deeply resonates with who I am and what I value. This is the starting point of every meaningful system, because you cannot build a life that works for you if you never stop to define what you are trying to build. Without a clear answer to what you want and why, you will chase things that leave you feeling empty, exhausted, or confused. The world will always offer noise, but clarity is something only you can give yourself. The first step in building a system that creates a better future is to become brutally honest about what matters to you. Not once in a while, but every single day. The mind drifts easily. One day you feel clear, and the next you're lost in distractions, worries, and obligations. That's why defining what you want and why must become a daily practice, not a one-time decision. You are not the same person every day. Your thoughts shift. Your mood changes. Life presents new situations. But when you train yourself to return to your values and goals each morning, you begin to build inner strength and direction that keeps you anchored no matter what happens around you. The mistake most people make is believing that clarity is something that happens to them, like an epiphany or a bolt of lightning. But clarity isn't found, it's earned. It's built through reflection, repetition, and daily attention. If you want to grow effortlessly in the future, you must make defining your path part of your routine. It takes a few quiet minutes, but the effect ripples through every action you take. Instead of reacting to the day, you begin directing it. You make decisions fast. You resist temptations easier. You stop comparing yourself to others. Because you're not chasing 100 things, you're focused on one direction that matters to you. You don't need a long list of goals to begin. You need one honest sentence that explains what kind of life you want to build. Then you need one deeper sentence that explains why it matters to you. This doesn't have to be poetic, it just has to be real. For example, you might say, I want to be financially independent so I can take care of my family without stress. Or, I want to feel strong and healthy because I'm tired of feeling drained. These are not abstract dreams, they are real desires with real reasons. And once you write them down, you have a compass. That compass will guide you through the day, the week, and the year. Without it, you will drift even if you work hard. The power of defining what you want and why daily is not just in goal setting, it's in identity shaping. When you remind yourself each morning of your purpose, you are reinforcing who you are becoming. You are teaching your mind to focus, to care, to strive, and to endure. The repetition doesn't make it boring, it makes it strong. Just like muscles grow through daily resistance, your future grows through daily clarity. This habit is simple to start. Each morning before the world gets loud, take 5 minutes. Sit in silence. Write down 2 things. What do I want? Why does it matter today? That's it. You will be surprised at how grounding this feels. You'll notice that some days your answers feel strong and clear, and other days they feel uncertain. That's okay. The point isn't perfection, it's connection. You are connecting with your deeper self, and that connection will create a system that grows with you, not against you. Over time, this small act rewires your brain. You begin filtering your choices differently. Instead of asking, what should I do next? You start asking, does this move me closer to what I truly want? This shift is where power begins. Most people waste years chasing distractions. You will waste less time, less energy, and less hope because you are focused. You'll say no more often. You'll stop people-pleasing. You'll become selective with your energy because your system won't allow you to drift without purpose. There will be moments when your goals feel too far away. That's normal. You'll doubt yourself, question your path, and want to quit. This is why your why must be strong. Without a strong reason, you will collapse under pressure. With a strong reason, you will adapt and move forward. That's why the second part of the daily habit is so important. Your why is your fuel. It gives you emotional energy when motivation fades. It reminds you of your responsibility to yourself and to the people you care about. When you define that daily, you build emotional resilience, and that resilience becomes your silent advantage in life. There's a quiet strength in people who know where they're going. You can feel it when they walk into a room. They're not rushed, but they're not idle either. They're grounded. You can become that person. But it starts with making a promise to yourself, not once, every day. The promise is this: I will not move blindly through my life. I will not waste my energy on things that don't matter. I will decide what I want, and I will remind myself why, until it becomes unshakable. If you're overwhelmed and don't know what you want, start with how you want to feel. Maybe you want to feel calm. Maybe you want to feel excited. Maybe you want to feel free. That's your entry point. From there, ask what needs to happen in your life to feel that way more often. What habits? What relationships? What work would support that feeling? The answers will come. Maybe slowly at first, but they will come. And when they do, write them down. Speak them out loud. Make them part of your morning. The more attention you give to what matters, the less room there is for confusion and chaos. The truth is, most of your stress comes from avoiding this step. When you avoid defining what you want, you let other people define it for you. You scroll through their lives. You compare, you feel behind. You chase things that look good, but don't feel good. That cycle only ends when you decide to lead your own mind. When you stop asking the world to give you direction and instead give it to yourself. This is not about being rigid or obsessive. Life will change. Your goals will evolve. That's part of growth. But the habit of checking in with yourself never gets old. In fact, the more life throws at you, the more you'll need it. Clarity is not a destination, it's a discipline. You don't wait until you're confused to start defining things. You define things every day, so confusion has no room to grow. If you've never done this before, start simple. Write down one thing you want to improve in your life, then ask why it matters to you. Do that again tomorrow, and the next day. Don't judge the answers. Don't worry if they change. Just keep showing up. The habit will teach you more than any book, course, or speech ever could, because it's your voice, your truth, and your future. This practice is not about feeling good in the moment. It's about building something real over time. The people who live with purpose are not the ones who had perfect plans. They are the ones who refused to live without clarity. They chose to look inward every day. They chose to ask hard questions. They chose to lead themselves. That choice is available to you right now. If you want to change your life, you don't need to start big. You need to start honest. Wake up tomorrow and before you reach for your phone, ask yourself one question. What do I truly want today, and why? Write it. Say it. Think about it as you move through your day. Then do it again the next morning. In a week, you'll notice your mind shifting. In a month, you'll notice your habits changing. In a year, you'll look back and see a different life. That's how you build the system. One clear choice at a time. One powerful reason at a time. One committed day at a time. And in doing that, your future doesn't feel like a dream anymore. It feels like a direction. It feels possible. It feels close. Not because everything is easy, but because you finally know why it matters. That kind of clarity cannot be taken from you. It can only grow stronger the more you use it. This is not just a chapter. This is your foundation. Define what you want. Define why. Do it daily. Your future is waiting for you to mean it. Chapter 2. Create a daily plan that matches your values. Most people live their days reacting instead of creating. They wake up with vague intentions, maybe a few scattered to-dos, but no real structure that reflects what actually matters to them. And over time, this leaves them drained, confused, or bitter, not because they lack ambition, but because they never gave their time a purpose. You cannot build a life of clarity, peace, and growth by guessing your way through each day. That's where most frustration is born, from misalignment between what you say you value and what you actually do. If you say family is important, but your schedule leaves no time for connection, you'll feel guilt and emptiness. If you say your health matters, but you never block time to move or eat well, that disconnect will weigh on you. Building the system that shapes your future starts with this essential habit, designing your day to match what you value. This is not about planning every minute. It's not about being robotic or perfect. It's about being honest. Honest about who you want to be, and responsible enough to shape your day in a way that reflects it. There's a quiet kind of power in waking up and knowing that your day is your choice, not something being forced on you. That power grows when your daily plan reflects the things you deeply care about, not just the urgent tasks screaming for your attention. When you take time every morning to decide how to live the next 24 hours, you are no longer just surviving. You're building something. A plan that matches your values begins with one clear truth. You cannot prioritize everything. You have to choose. You must decide what matters most, and you must protect it from being buried under what matters least. It's easy to say you want a meaningful life. It's harder to create a meaningful day, but that's the only place it begins, with today, not next month, not next year. Your future is shaped in the small details of how you spend your time right now. That's where your system grows or falls apart in the hours that pass unnoticed. To create a daily plan that reflects your values, you must know your values, not the ones that sound impressive, but the ones you feel in your gut. Maybe it's your health, your peace of mind, your family, your growth, your creativity. Choose a few, not 10. Not everything. Just the few values you refuse to live without. Then ask yourself, how will I make time for these today? Not just if I have time, but where in my schedule will this live? If your plan doesn't include them, your life won't reflect them. And that gap will leave you restless, no matter how much you achieve. This isn't just about blocking hours on a calendar, It's about being intentional with your energy. You don't need to schedule every second, but you do need to protect what matters most. If peace of mind is a value, then a quiet hour without screens in the morning may become part of your system. If physical health is a value, then movement must find a home in your day, even if it's just a short walk. If relationships matter to you, then a 5-minute call to someone you love may be more important than another unchecked task. People struggle with this because they believe a good day is one where everything gets done. But a better standard is this: a good day is one where what matters most actually happened. That may only be 2 or 3 meaningful things, but if those things are aligned with your values, you will feel a sense of peace that can't be faked. This is not a life of hustle, this is a life of purpose. And purpose doesn't mean doing more, it means doing the right things with more focus. Every morning, before the world pulls you in 100 directions, take 10 minutes. Ask yourself, what do I value? What kind of person do I want to be today? And how will I design this day to reflect that? Then open a notebook. Block out the most important pieces first. This is what I call your core time reserved for what matters most. Everything else can move around that. Even if your day is full of responsibilities, you can still build it around your values. You don't need a perfect life to live by design. You just need a little courage to stop being careless with your hours. You'll notice something powerful happen when you live this way. You stop feeling overwhelmed by the noise around you. You stop chasing other people's approval. You stop doubting whether you're doing enough, because your plan wasn't made to impress anyone. It was made to honor what matters to you. That's how you build confidence, not by achieving everything, but by living in integrity with yourself. When your actions match your values, even the small ones, you feel solid inside. That is the foundation of self-respect. This practice will challenge you. It will reveal where you've been dishonest with yourself. You might realize that some of your days are filled with things that don't serve your purpose at all. That's not failure, that's awareness. And awareness is power. Once you see the gap between what you value and how you live, you can begin to close it. One decision at a time. One better plan at a time. You don't need to fix everything at once. You just need to wake up and design your day with care. And yes, there will be days when life gets chaotic. Emergencies will come up. People will make demands. Things won't go as planned. But that's not a reason to give up your system. It's a reason to protect it. Even on the busiest days, there is time to act on one of your values. Maybe it's 2 minutes of gratitude. Maybe it's a choice to stay calm instead of reacting. Maybe it's saying no to something you know will drain you. When you do this, you're not just getting through the day. You're shaping who you become. Living this way creates momentum. Each value-driven day builds on the last. The decisions get easier. The distractions get weaker. Your life becomes clearer. Not because the world changed, but because you finally decided to stop letting it control you. You became the designer of your day, not the victim of it. That's a quiet revolution, and once it begins, it touches everything. Your mindset, your energy, your relationships, your results. So don't wait for the perfect time to start. Start now, today. Before you move forward, pause and ask, what do I care about most right now? How can I give time and energy to that? What will I do today that reflects the kind of life I want to live? Write it down. Build your plan. Then follow it with discipline and heart. Not because it's easy, but because it's who you choose to be. When you start building your days around your values, you stop living on accident. You stop measuring success by how busy you are. You stop chasing goals that mean nothing to you. And instead, you start building a system that reflects your truth. That system becomes your structure. That structure becomes your strength. And that strength carries you through the hard days, the uncertain days, and the days where nothing goes as expected. Every future you dream of is built in the hours you're living right now. So don't waste them. Don't let them drift away in mindless activity. Don't fill them with other people's priorities. Make them count. Make them reflect who you are and who you're becoming. Because when you do that day after day, the future won't just surprise you, it will reflect you. That's not magic. That's your system, working, growing, building the life you know you were meant to live. Chapter 3. Track your habits and improve them with intention. Most people live by patterns they don't even realize they've created. They repeat the same actions day after day, often wondering why nothing changes, why their goals feel far away, or why their energy seems drained. The answer is not in trying harder or hoping something shifts on its own. The answer is in observing your daily actions with honesty and clarity. You cannot improve what you never measure. You cannot grow if you refuse to look at how you're living. Tracking your habits with intention is not about perfection. It's about awareness. And awareness is the beginning of real change. Habits shape your life, whether you notice them or not. They are the invisible architecture of your results. The way you sleep, eat, think, move, spend, react, and focus. These daily choices either move you closer to the life you want or quietly pull you away from it. Without tracking, most of your habits operate automatically, driven by mood, convenience, and old patterns. This is how progress stalls, not because people lack discipline, but because they lack clarity. When you don't know what you're doing, you can't fix what's broken. But the moment you start observing your actions with purpose, the fog starts to lift. You begin to see the truth, and with that truth, you gain power. Start with something simple. Choose one area of your life that feels stuck. Maybe your energy levels, your mental focus, your consistency with learning or health. Then track one small behavior that affects that area. If you want more energy, track how often you drink water, how late you sleep, or how much movement you get. If you want to improve your focus, track how many hours you spend distracted by your phone. If you want to feel more in control of your time, track how often you follow through with your daily plan. You don't need fancy tools to do this. A notebook is enough. What matters is your honesty. Every time you track a habit, you build self-respect. You're telling yourself, I care enough to notice. I care enough to measure. I care enough to hold myself accountable, not to shame, but to grow. This is what intention looks like. It's not about judging yourself harshly. It's about being the kind of person who pays attention, the kind of person who doesn't let their life drift without direction. When you track your habits, you become the observer of your actions instead of being ruled by them. You step out of autopilot, and from that place, you can start to make real progress. Progress doesn't come from intensity, it comes from consistency. And consistency becomes possible when you have a system to track your behavior and reflect on it regularly. A 5-minute habit review at the end of each day can change the course of your life. Ask yourself, what did I do today that helped me grow? What habits repeated today that I want to keep? Which ones do I need to adjust tomorrow? You don't need 100 answers, just 1 or 2 observations are enough. Over time, these observations compound. They become awareness, and that awareness becomes change. The reason most people fail to build better habits is that they chase too much at once. They try to transform everything in a week. That never works. Lasting change is quiet. It grows through focus and patience. Choose one habit you want to improve. Track it daily. Observe how it fits into your life. Pay attention to what triggers it, what makes it easier or harder, and how you feel afterward. Use that data not to criticize yourself, but to understand yourself. You can't improve what you don't understand, but once you do, change becomes practical. Don't underestimate the power of small improvements. If you track your sleep and notice you feel better with 1 more hour, that's a major insight. If you track your learning and realize 10 minutes of reading in the morning shifts your entire mindset, that's growth. These aren't dramatic changes, but they're real, and over time, they shape who you become. Most people miss them because they're not looking, they're too distracted. They move from one idea to the next without tracking what's working. Don't let that be you. Let your life be a system, not a guessing game. There's something deeply empowering about knowing why you feel the way you do. When your habits are tracked, your emotions make more sense. Your energy levels aren't random. Your results aren't mysterious. They are tied to your behavior, and your behavior is within your control. This mindset doesn't happen by accident. It's built through tracking. It's built through reflection. It's built through intention. Intention means you don't just try to be better, you plan to be better. You study your patterns, you test new routines, you look at the results, you adjust, you keep showing up. It's a cycle of awareness and refinement. That's how systems grow. That's how lives transform. One simple habit, tracked with care, can be the start of something huge. One decision to pay attention instead of rushing through your day can bring clarity where there was once confusion. You'll notice something interesting when you track your habits consistently. Your excuses get weaker. The story you tell yourself about why you can't improve begins to change. You start seeing evidence of your progress. Even small wins become proof that you're not stuck. You're evolving. And that builds momentum. Momentum is not magic. It's measured action over time. When you measure, you see. When you see, you learn. When you learn, you grow. This is the core of building a future that feels effortless, not because it's easy, but because it's designed with care. Tracking helps you see what you would otherwise ignore. It keeps you honest. It reminds you of your power. And it gives you a foundation to build on. Without it, you're just hoping things will get better. With it, you're creating the conditions for growth every single day. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be consistent. Miss a day, start again, fall short, adjust the system. This is not about guilt, it's about mastery. And mastery is built through repetition. With feedback. Your tracking system is that feedback. It's your mirror. It shows you what's really happening, not what you wish was happening. That truth is hard sometimes, but it's also freeing, because it means you're in charge. Your future doesn't start someday. It starts now, with what you track, with what you improve, with what you decide matters. So track your habits, not to be perfect, but to be aware. Improve them not to impress anyone, but to respect yourself. Build a system that reflects who you want to become. Then use each day to take one step closer. That's how effortless growth happens. Not from one big leap, but from 1,000 intentional steps. And it all begins when you decide to stop guessing and start tracking. Chapter 4. Build discipline by doing hard things every morning. Discipline is not something you're born with, and it's not something you're born with, and it's not something you stumble into by accident. It's something you build, one hard choice at a time. The easiest way to build it is to stop waiting for motivation and start doing something difficult the moment your day begins. Because the way you start your morning decides how you live the rest of your day. If you begin in comfort, you chase comfort. If you begin in strength, you carry strength. That first hour after you wake up is where your future is either protected or wasted. If you can train yourself to take on a hard task first thing in the morning, when your mind wants ease and your body wants delay, you are training yourself to lead, not follow. You're choosing action over avoidance, growth over comfort, and clarity over confusion. And every time you make that choice, you grow stronger. Doing something hard every morning doesn't mean you need to suffer or punish yourself. It means you face resistance on purpose. You step into discomfort by design. It can be a cold shower, a workout, writing when you don't feel like it, reading something that stretches your thinking, or waking up without hitting snooze. What matters is that it's not easy. What matters is that your brain wants to negotiate, and you do it anyway. That moment when you overcome resistance, instead of giving in, that's the seed of discipline. And when you do it again tomorrow, and again the day after, the seed grows into a mindset that no longer bows to excuses. You're not building discipline for the sake of pride. You're building it because life is hard. And without discipline, you break under pressure. But when you've trained yourself to do hard things in the quiet hours of the morning, you stop flinching when the world tests you. You respond instead of reacting. You take control instead of losing focus. You push forward even when it's inconvenient. That's what discipline gives you, the ability to stay in control of your choices, no matter how you feel. And that kind of strength is built, not found. Most people waste their mornings. They scroll, they delay, they make promises to themselves they don't keep. And every time they do, their self-respect weakens. Not because they're bad people, but because they're training their minds to expect comfort. And the more you feed that expectation, the harder life feels. That's why doing something hard every morning is not just a challenge, it's an investment in who you're becoming. It's how you teach your mind that growth comes before comfort, and that results only follow effort. You don't need hours to build discipline, you need a decision. One clear decision each morning that says, I'm going to do this hard thing. Not because I want to, but because I said I would. That builds trust with yourself. And when you trust yourself, your confidence grows. Most people think confidence comes from success. But real confidence comes from keeping promises to yourself, even when no one's watching, especially then. Doing something hard each morning also creates momentum. When you begin your day with a win, even a small one, it sets the tone for everything that follows. You stop dragging through your day. You move with purpose. You make better choices. You speak with more conviction. Not because the day got easier, but because you got stronger before the day even began. That's the power of a disciplined morning. It gives you an edge that can't be. You will be tempted to skip it. You'll have days where you feel tired, unmotivated, or overwhelmed. But those are the most important days to show up. Because if you can face resistance when it's hardest, you'll never lose to it when it's easy. That's what separates disciplined people from everyone else. They don't make decisions based on how they feel. They make decisions based on who they're committed to becoming. And that identity is shaped every morning when you choose to rise, act, and challenge yourself, instead of waiting for circumstances to be perfect. There's no need to wait for January or for some big life event to change your habits. Discipline begins the moment you decide. Take action before you're ready. And there's no better time than the start of your day. Because when you win the morning, you carry that discipline into every other part of your life. You become more focused at work, more present with your family, more consistent with your goals. And you begin to see that the cost of discipline is small compared to the reward of progress. You don't need to be extreme. You just need to be consistent. It's not about doing the hardest thing possible. It's about doing the thing you don't want to do but know you need to. That's where growth lives. And the more you make that choice, the easier it becomes. Your mind gets sharper. Your body gets stronger. Your emotions get steadier. Because you're not running from discomfort, you're walking straight through it. If you want to grow into someone others can depend on, someone who achieves what they set out to do, someone who builds their life on purpose, you need discipline. And if you want discipline, you need to earn it every single morning, by showing up, by doing what's hard, by choosing effort over ease. No one can do it for you, but once you begin, you'll realize it was never about being perfect. It was about being willing. You'll notice your relationship with yourself begin to change. The voice in your head that once doubted you starts to quiet down. You begin to trust your own follow-through. You stop waiting for motivation to show up. You become your own source of strength, and that creates a foundation you can build anything on. Goals, habits, success, peace, stability. It all begins with the choice to get uncomfortable on purpose. You were not born to stay the same. You were meant to evolve, and growth only happens in effort. Every hard thing you face in the morning is preparing you for the hard things you'll face in life. And the more you prove to yourself that you can handle discomfort, the more powerful you become in everything you do. So don't waste your mornings. Use them. Use them to get stronger. Use them to reset your mind. Use them to remind yourself that your habits, not your feelings, shape your future. You don't have to want it, you just have to do it. And once it's done, you'll feel something better than comfort. You'll feel capable, and that feeling will carry you. So pick one hard thing and face it tomorrow morning. Then do it again the next day. Make it part of your life, not as a punishment, but as a promise that you won't let ease decide your future. A promise that you'll rise above delay. A promise that no matter what happens, you'll begin your day by choosing strength. That's how discipline is built. And once it's built, it becomes your greatest advantage. Chapter 5. Replace distractions with goals that move you forward. Distractions don't just waste your time, they steal your future. They slowly take your attention away from what matters most and hand it over to things that leave you empty. You don't notice it at first because distractions feel easy. They feel quick. They give you a moment of escape. But one moment turns into another, and suddenly a day is gone, then a week, then a year. Most people aren't stuck because they lack goals. They're stuck because they keep getting pulled away from their goals by things that don't deserve their energy. If you want to move forward in life, you have to replace those distractions with goals that actually mean something to you. Goals that wake you up, goals that give your mind direction and your actions purpose. It starts by being honest about what's pulling you off track. You have to look at how often you reach for your phone when you're uncomfortable, how often you scroll just to avoid thinking, how often you delay meaningful work because the easy option is right there. These small choices matter because they add up. You don't lose your potential in one big mistake. You lose it in 1,000 small distractions. And the only way to stop it is to replace what's meaningless with what's meaningful. Not by force, but by design. Not by cutting everything out all at once, but by choosing something better to aim for. You need goals that pull you forward, goals that make you feel alive. Not vague wishes, but clear, focused targets that align with who you want to become. When your goal is clear, distractions lose their power, because suddenly you're not just trying to avoid boredom, you're chasing something real, and chasing something real gives your time weight, it gives your actions direction. It helps you say no to things that once stole your attention, not because you have to, but because you want. The truth is, your brain wants something to focus on. If you don't give it a goal, it will settle for anything that gives it stimulation, and that's what most distractions are. They're stimulation without satisfaction. They feel busy, but they give you nothing lasting. When you live like that for too long, you start to feel restless, disconnected, frustrated, because deep down you know you were made for more than just reacting to everything around you. You were made to create, to lead, to build, to grow. But you can't grow if you're constantly pulled in every direction. You grow when you move with purpose. Purpose starts with a clear goal. A goal that reflects what you truly value. Maybe it's building your health, strengthening your mindset, deepening your relationships, starting something meaningful, or mastering a skill. Whatever it is, it must matter enough to because there will be days when the distraction is louder than the goal. There will be moments when quitting feels easier. But if the goal means something to you, if it connects to your identity, you'll keep going. And each time you choose the goal over the distraction, you build the life you actually want. You don't have to give up everything at once. You just have to start replacing one habit at a time. If you spend 30 minutes every morning scrolling, trade that time for learning something useful. If you waste hours jumping between tasks, start scheduling focused time blocks with one clear purpose. If you find yourself avoiding hard work, break your goal down into smaller steps and do one of them immediately. Distractions thrive in chaos. Goals thrive in clarity. So your job is to bring order to your day, not by being perfect, but by being intentional. Intention is the difference between action and reaction. When you live by intention, you don't wait to feel ready. You act based on your priorities. And that mindset is what protects you from slipping back into distraction. Because distractions are always one click away, always one choice away. The only thing that can compete with them is a vision that's strong enough to remind you who you are and what you're building. People often say they don't have time for their goals, but if you tracked how much time you spent on distractions, you'd see the truth. It's not about time, it's about focus. And focus is something you protect by deciding what matters in advance. You don't wait for the right mood, you build your day around the right mission. That mission becomes your filter. It helps you see what's worth doing and what's just noise. Every time you choose your goal over a distraction, you grow, not just in results, but in identity. You start becoming the kind of person who follows through, the kind of person who respects their time, the kind of person who doesn't run from effort, and that identity shift is more powerful than any temporary comfort. Because once you become someone who values progress more than escape, your entire life changes. This doesn't mean you can't rest. It doesn't mean you have to grind non-stop. It means your rest is earned. It means your attention is a tool, not a toy. It means your mind isn't constantly scattered because it knows where it's going. That kind of mental clarity is rare, but it's possible. You just have to stop feeding your distractions and start feeding your future. One of the best things you can do is write your goal down every single morning. Keep it in front of you. Review it when you're tempted to waste time. Ask yourself, will this help me get closer to what I want? If the answer is no, walk away. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to be aware. Because awareness leads to better decisions, and better decisions lead to better days. And better days, stacked over time, lead to a better life. You won't always feel motivated, that's normal. What matters is that your system doesn't rely on motivation. It relies on structure. Replace the gaps where distractions sneak in with routines that support your goals. Replace idle time with actions that build momentum. Replace comfort with progress. Do this consistently, and you'll notice a shift, not just in your results, but in your sense of self. You'll start feeling in control again. And that feeling will push you forward like nothing else. Don't wait for life to slow down. Don't wait for the perfect moment. The distractions won't stop coming. But you can stop answering. You can stop letting them decide how your time is spent. You can take that time back and put it into something real. That's how goals are reached, by trading empty moments for intentional steps. By choosing progress over noise, by building your days around what matters most. You have everything you need to make that shift. Not someday, not later. Right now. You just have to be willing to give up the distractions that no longer serve you, and replace them with goals that light you up. The more you do that, the more you'll feel your life move in the right direction, not by accident, but by design. And that's how real growth begins. Chapter 6. Reflect weekly to stay aligned and grow stronger. Most people move through life without ever stopping to ask if they're heading in the right direction. They wake up, go through the motions, respond to problems, react to distractions, and before they know it, another week has passed. They might feel busy, they might even feel productive, but deep down there's this quiet question that lingers: am I really growing? Or am I just repeating? If you never pause to reflect, you'll never see the truth. That's why building a habit of weekly reflection is one of the most powerful tools for real personal growth. It's not about being perfect or having all the answers. It's about becoming aware. It's about taking ownership of your direction before the world decides it for you. Reflection isn't something you do just when things go wrong. It's something you do to make sure things go right. It gives you a space to step back, clear your thoughts, and check if your actions match your values. Because no matter how big your goals are, they won't matter if your habits are pulling you in the opposite direction. And that misalignment doesn't scream. It whispers. It shows up in small compromises, quiet frustrations, missed opportunities, and slow detachment from the person you want to be. But when you reflect weekly, you catch those things before they take over. You bring your attention back to what matters. Once a week, you give yourself the space to ask hard questions. What did I learn this week? What drained me? What made me feel proud? Where did I waste time? What do I need to improve? These aren't just checkboxes. These are the questions that real growth downs. They reveal the patterns you couldn't see while you were busy. They show you where you're still stuck. They shine a light on the habits that lift you up and the ones that slowly pull you down. And when you do this regularly, you stop being controlled by your habits and start shaping them with intention. Most people only look back when they've hit a wall, but that's reactive. That's like waiting until your house is falling apart before you check the foundation. Weekly reflection is proactive. It's how you stay ahead. It's how you course correct before problems grow. It's how you stay honest with yourself when the world tempts you to settle. You don't need hours. You just need consistency. You just need one quiet moment, once a week, where you face yourself without excuses. That habit alone can change your life. Start simple. Pick a time every week. Maybe Sunday night, maybe early Monday morning, and make it non-negotiable. Sit down with a notebook, a blank page, or just your own thoughts. Look back at how you spent your last 7 days, not with guilt, but with clarity. Ask yourself, did I do what I said I would? Did I move one step closer to my goals? Did I act like the person I want to become? If not, why not? And how will I adjust this week to stay on track? These reflections don't need to be perfect. They need to be real. The more honest you are, the more power you'll get from them. Reflection also gives you proof. So often we feel like we're not growing because we forget how far we've come. We only see the gap, never the gain. But when you reflect, you start to see the small wins that were invisible before. You notice how you reacted better to a challenge. You realize you handled stress with more patience. You see that you followed through, even when it was hard. These moments might seem small, but over time they add up to real confidence, real belief. You stop doubting your path because you've been tracking your steps, and when you can see your progress, you're far less likely to quit. Growth isn't just about adding more to your life. Sometimes it's about removing what no longer serves you. Weekly reflection gives you the chance to notice what's holding you back. Maybe it's a routine that doesn't support your goals. Maybe it's a mindset that limits you. Maybe it's a commitment that no longer aligns with who you are. You can't change what you're not aware of, but once you see it, you can choose better. You can decide what stays and what goes. You can build a system that supports your future instead of sabotaging it. The most successful people aren't just action takers, they're reflection takers. They don't move blindly, they adjust often. They don't wait for disaster to change, they look for signs early. They treat every week as a chance to improve, not because they hate where they are, but because they believe in who they can become. That mindset is rare, but it can be built, and it's built through weekly reflection, through showing up for yourself even when no one's watching, through choosing growth even when it's uncomfortable. You might not always feel like doing it. You might feel like skipping it some weeks. But those are the weeks it matters most. Because reflection isn't about feeling good, it's about becoming better. It's about keeping yourself aligned when life tries to pull you off course. It's your anchor when things feel uncertain. It's your mirror when you need truth more than comfort. If you stick to this habit, week after week, you will start to notice a shift, not just in your productivity, but in your mindset, your discipline, and your belief in yourself. Make it simple, but sacred. Keep a journal or a digital space where you record your reflections. Don't just think them. Write them. Writing gives your thoughts structure. It makes your insights real. It turns vague feelings into specific lessons. And over time, you'll build a library of your own growth. You'll see how far you've come. You'll notice patterns in your struggles and breakthroughs in your mindset. That kind of awareness is rare. That kind of self-accountability is powerful. It's how you stop being passive and start leading your own development. Your future doesn't grow by accident, it grows by design, and weekly reflection is part of that design. It's the habit that keeps you honest. It's the ritual that brings you back to your mission. No one else will do it for you. This is your job, your responsibility, and it's also your privilege, because the person you become through this process is someone worth meeting. Someone who doesn't just dream about a better life, but builds one, step by step with eyes wide open. Chapter 7. Develop routines that support your best decisions daily. Most of the decisions you make each day are not the result of deep thinking or careful planning. They are the result of your environment, your energy level, your emotional state, and most of all, your routines. Routines shape what you do without needing constant motivation or reminders. They remove unnecessary friction. They create stability in your day so you can focus your energy on what matters. But not all routines are helpful. Some drain your time, weaken your focus, and reinforce the very habits you want to break. That's why you must intentionally build routines that support your best decisions, not just convenient ones. A powerful routine does more than organize your time. It sets your priorities. It creates a rhythm that supports your mental clarity and self-respect. It gives you momentum before the world can distract you. The goal isn't to fill every minute with rigid tasks. The goal is to create a structure that allows your highest self to show up consistently, especially when you're tired or overwhelmed. Your decisions reflect your mindset, and your routines shape your mindset more than motivation ever will. When your day starts with structure, your choices become clearer, and you no longer leave your future to chance. Start by asking yourself who you want to be when you're not stressed, when you're not distracted, when you're not rushed. That version of you, the focused one, the patient one, the clear-thinking one, deserves support from the way you structure your day. So you build routines that guide your energy toward your goals, not away from them. You reduce guesswork. You remove temptations. You protect your mind before the day attacks it with demands. When you do that, your decisions no longer depend on willpower. They flow from preparation. There is no perfect routine, but there is a right routine for you. It's one that aligns with your values, honors your time, and keeps you anchored when life becomes chaotic. Start small. Focus on the first hour of your day. How you begin the day influences how you handle everything else. Avoid reaching for your phone. Avoid letting noise into your brain before you've even grounded your thoughts. Instead, create a quiet space to plan, reflect, and move your body. You don't need to do everything, but you need to do something intentional, something that centers you. Decisions are harder when you're exhausted, distracted, or confused. That's why routines help you win before problems arrive. You don't wait to be motivated. You don't wait for the right feeling. You already know what to do because the system is in place. Whether it's preparing your meals in advance, reviewing your goals every morning, or blocking time for your most important work, these habits act as guardrails. They protect you from sliding into distraction or impulsive behavior. They give your day structure and your mind peace. Every time you follow a routine that serves your future, you strengthen trust in yourself. You build discipline without forcing it. You create results without draining your energy on endless decisions. And the more you protect that routine, the stronger it becomes. But this isn't just about discipline, it's about respect. You respect your time. You respect your values. You respect your goals enough to design your life around them instead of hoping everything will fall into place. That's what high performers do. They don't rely on willpower, they rely on structure. Look closely at where your time goes every day. What habits run automatically, which ones support your growth, and which ones hold you back. Be honest with yourself. Growth starts with awareness. You can't fix what you won't face. You may notice you spend too much time reacting instead of planning, or you delay decisions because you didn't set time aside to think clearly, or you rush through the morning and spend the rest of the day trying to catch up. These patterns don't change with good intentions, they change with better routines. One of the best ways to upgrade your routines is to attach new habits to existing ones. For example, if you drink coffee every morning, take 5 minutes after that to write your top 3 priorities for the day. If you drive to work, use that time to listen to something that strengthens your mindset. If you end your day with screen time, replace the first 10 minutes with reading or journaling. These shifts might seem small, but they build consistency. They turn passive time into productive energy. They remind your brain that your future matters more than your impulses. It's easy to believe that your life is the result of big decisions, but the truth is, your future is shaped by the small ones you make every day, without thinking. What you eat, what you focus on first, whether you plan or react, whether you move or sit still, whether you start your day on purpose or on autopilot. Your routines decide the quality of your day, and the quality of your day decides the quality of your life. That's why developing a strong routine is one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself. This isn't about being strict, it's about being intentional. Flexibility is part of life, but randomness is not a strategy. When you have a foundation of routines, you can handle change without falling apart. You can adjust without losing direction. You can make space for rest without losing your momentum. Your routines give you something solid to return to. They act like a compass that keeps you grounded when everything around you is chaotic. You may not control what happens, but you control how you show up, and routines help you show up ready. You don't need to add more to your life. You need to create space for what matters most. A powerful routine does exactly that. It removes what's unnecessary. It makes time for reflection, for planning, for health, for growth. You no longer let the world decide how your day goes. You take control. You build a rhythm that brings out the best in you. You stop negotiating with distractions. You stop chasing temporary feelings, and slowly you become someone who makes progress without forcing it, because your days are aligned with your goals. If you've struggled to stay consistent in the past, that's okay. Don't aim for perfection, aim for commitment. Miss a day, start again, fall off, get back on. What matters is that you don't stop building. Keep shaping your system, keep improving the way you live. Over time, the effort becomes identity. You're no longer just someone who tries, you're someone who follows through. And that shift is where lasting change begins. You make better decisions, not because you try harder, but because your life is set up to support them. Start today. Review your current routines. Identify one part of your day where you can add clarity. One area where a small change will support a better choice. You don't need to fix everything at once, but you do need to start, because the life you want isn't built in bursts of motivation, it's built in steady patterns. The better your routines, the easier it is to live with purpose. And when your routines support your best decisions, every day becomes an opportunity to grow. Chapter 8. Choose progress over perfection in every single moment. Most people hold themselves back, not because they lack the ability, but because they're waiting to feel ready, waiting to get everything just right, waiting for perfection before they act. But perfection is a trap that keeps progress out of reach. You don't need to be perfect to grow. You need to move, you need to try, you need to make mistakes, learn quickly, and keep going. The person who embraces steady progress will always outrun the one chasing flawlessness. Progress is movement. Progress is commitment. Progress is strength in motion, and every moment gives you the chance to take one more step toward your better life. When you choose progress over perfection, you allow yourself to be human. You allow yourself to keep improving without being paralyzed by self-doubt. You stop waiting for ideal conditions. You stop postponing your effort. You realize that taking imperfect action is more valuable than planning a flawless idea that never leaves your mind. Perfection often leads to procrastination. It convinces you that if it's not done exactly right, it's not worth doing at all. But that mindset keeps you stuck. It keeps you quiet. It keeps you small. Progress, on the other hand, builds momentum. It gives you permission to grow in real time. You will never master anything by avoiding failure. You master things by facing discomfort, experimenting, adjusting, and showing up again. The most successful people in the world are not the most flawless, they are the most persistent. They act, review, refine, and repeat. They don't wait until their confidence is high. They act while they're still figuring things out. That's how growth works. It's not glamorous. It's not perfect. It's messy and often frustrating. But every time you choose progress, you send a message to yourself that your goals matter more than your fear. Trying to be perfect often comes from fear. Fear of being judged. Fear of failing. Fear of not being enough. But fear will always find reasons to keep you stuck. You don't need to overcome fear before you take action. You just need to act in spite of it. Each step forward reduces its power. Each time you try, even in a small way, you weaken the voice that tells you to hold back. If you keep waiting to be fearless, you'll be waiting forever. But if you choose to move forward even when you're afraid, progress becomes your path to strength. You don't have to get everything right today. You just need to get something done. You just need to keep showing up. A single paragraph written today is better than the perfect book that never gets started. A 10-minute workout is better than an abandoned gym plan. A difficult conversation spoken imperfectly is better than silence. Life rewards those who take consistent action, not those who create flawless plans in their heads. You don't need more time. You don't need more preparation. You need a bias toward action, a mindset that values movement more than control. If you're honest with yourself, you'll see that progress was always within reach. You just thought it had to look a certain way. You thought your effort had to be impressive. You thought people would only respect you if you got it all right. But the truth is, respect, especially self-respect, comes from effort, not perfection. It comes from taking responsibility for your life instead of hiding behind excuses. It comes from starting where you are, using what you have, and doing what you can. That's how confidence is built. That's how change becomes real. Sometimes progress means doing less, not more. It means saying no to perfection-driven habits that drain you. It means setting boundaries with people or expectations that don't serve your growth. It means focusing on one change at a time instead of overwhelming yourself with too many goals. When you try to be perfect, you often chase too much at once. But when you focus on progress, you simplify. You ask, what's the next right thing I can do? And then you do it. You stop worrying about how it looks, and you start valuing how it feels, honest, grounded and forward-moving. You will have days when you fall short. That's part of the process. Don't let those days become a reason to give up. Don't let a single setback erase your progress. Progress is not about being perfect every day. It's about showing up more often than you quit. It's about staying in the game even when it's hard. It's about adjusting your path, not abandoning it. If you fall down, get back up. If you slow down, that's okay. Just don't stop. Every small step matters, even the awkward ones. They teach you more than overthinking ever could. Stop chasing the version of you that never makes mistakes. Start becoming the version of you that keeps moving forward no matter what. That version is stronger. That version is more capable. That version actually creates results. The goal is not to be admired for your perfection. The goal is to respect yourself for your consistency. That's what builds identity. That's what builds resilience. You're not here to impress anyone. You're here to grow, and growth demands action. Even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's imperfect. When you make peace with progress, life becomes less stressful. You stop judging yourself constantly. You stop trying to live up to impossible standards. You stop comparing your first steps to someone else's 10th year. You understand that your journey is valid, even if it doesn't look clean or polished. You begin to focus on what's working instead of obsessing over what's not. You start to see your own effort as enough, because it is. And as you move forward, your skills sharpen, your thinking clears, your confidence grows. But none of that happens if you keep chasing perfection. You don't need to be excellent right now. You need to be consistent. You need to care enough to keep trying. You need to trust that the results will come as long as you stay in motion. You don't need to be the fastest or the smartest. You need to be the one who shows up, day after day, even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when it's slow. Progress rewards the ones who don't quit. It transforms those who keep choosing effort over ease. So stop waiting for the perfect plan. Stop trying to control every detail. Start with what you know. Use what you have. Begin where you are, and let your actions teach you what your thoughts never could. You are more than capable. You just need to trust progress. It will take you further than perfection ever will. One step, one choice, one honest effort at a time. That's how your future is built. Chapter 9. Surround yourself with people who push you higher. The people around you influence your thoughts, your energy, and your direction more than you realize. If you want to grow, you must choose your circle with care. You cannot afford to spend your life surrounded by people who drain your strength, question your dreams, or make you feel small every time you try to rise. Progress is hard enough on its own. You don't need voices around you that feed doubt or normalize settling. You need people who expect more from you, because they see your potential clearly, even when you forget it yourself. Growth is personal, but it thrives in the presence of the right support. If you surround yourself with people who stay stuck, who complain more than they create, who talk about change but never pursue it, their patterns will slowly pull you back to their level. Even if you're motivated, even if you're disciplined, it's difficult to grow when your environment works against you. But if you spend time with people who live with purpose, who stretch their own limits, who believe in progress and push for it, you'll feel yourself lifted. Their energy will sharpen your focus. Their habits will challenge your excuses. Their presence will remind you that you're capable of more. Look at the conversations you're having daily. Are they filled with problems or solutions? Do they spark your ambition or numb your vision? Do the people in your life support the person you are or the person you want to become? This reflection matters, because if you're constantly explaining yourself, shrinking your goals, or censoring your enthusiasm, it's not growth that's happening, it's slow decay. Real friends don't get uncomfortable when you evolve. Real supporters don't mock your discipline, they rise with you, or they cheer for you as you rise, and if someone can't do either, they don't deserve space in your system. You need to be surrounded by people who remind you of your standards when you're tempted to lower them. You need people who don't let you quit on yourself just because you're tired or uncertain. You need people who speak directly, who call you out gently but firmly when you're drifting away from your principles. This kind of connection isn't always comfortable, but it's always necessary. Comfort rarely creates growth. Challenge does. And there's nothing more valuable than people who challenge you with love and honesty, not because they think they're better than you, but because they believe you're better than your current limits. Start choosing people based on energy, not history. Just because you've known someone for years doesn't mean they still belong in your inner circle. Loyalty to your future must come before loyalty to your past. If someone consistently makes you question yourself, holds you back with passive comments, or stays silent when they see you falling, that's not support, it's stagnation. Growth demands courage, and sometimes that courage means distancing yourself from familiar faces who no longer align with your direction. It doesn't have to be dramatic or angry, it just has to be clear. You get one life, you don't owe anyone your potential. When you start choosing your relationships intentionally, your mindset shifts. You become more aware of your time, your energy, your priorities. You become protective of your progress. You stop giving unlimited access to people who don't earn it through their energy and actions. Instead, you give more of yourself to those who uplift you, who understand the value of consistency, who live what they preach. These people don't compete with you, they grow with you. They celebrate your wins without resentment. They support your lows without judgment. That kind of connection builds unshakable momentum. Sometimes the people who push you higher don't always agree with you, and that's a gift. Growth doesn't come from echo chambers. It comes from thoughtful disagreements, from honest feedback, from friends who care enough to tell you the truth without tearing you down. Surrounding yourself with strong people doesn't mean being around people who flatter you. It means being around people who stretch you. You become sharper when you're around those who think deeply, act with intention, and live with purpose. If your circle challenges you to evolve, you've chosen wisely. You also have a role to play in building this kind of circle. Don't just look for strong people, be one. Be the person who listens without judgment. Be the friend who reminds others of their power when they forget it. Be the example of consistency, of discipline, of integrity. When you live with intention, you naturally attract people who do the same. You become a magnet for excellence, and together you create an environment where growth is the norm, not the exception. That's when transformation becomes sustainable, not through isolation, but through shared strength. Never underestimate the value of being seen and supported by someone who truly gets it. One conversation with the right person can remind you of your direction, realign your focus, and reignite your belief. These moments aren't accidents. They come from surrounding yourself with people who don't just want to hear your dreams, but want to see them happen. They hold you accountable to your higher self. They don't let you settle. They remind you that your vision matters. And when you forget your power, they remind you how far you've already come. Every level of your life will demand a different version of you, and often a different circle around you. You don't need a crowd, you need a core, a few people who believe in you without needing constant explanation. A few people who live by their own values and expect you to do the same. A few people who know that discipline is love, that honesty is support, and that growth sometimes hurts, but it's always worth it. Those are the people who push you higher, not through pressure, but through presence. They make you better simply by being themselves, and they expect the same from you. Choose people who talk about goals, not gossip. Choose people who spend more time creating than criticizing. Choose people who act in alignment with their words. Choose people who celebrate your growth without feeling threatened. And most of all, choose people who remind you of who you're becoming every time you forget. If you want to live with purpose, you need to build your circle with purpose. The wrong people will drain your vision. The right ones will lift it higher. You have that choice. Make it count. Chapter 10. Repeat your system daily until success feels natural. Success is not a moment, but a habit that takes time to develop. When you build a system designed for growth, it's the daily repetition that turns effort into ease. At first, the actions you take might feel difficult or unnatural because you are stepping outside your comfort zone. This is normal. Every new habit requires time, focus, and persistence to embed itself into your daily life. The key is consistency, not perfection. By repeating your system daily, you create a foundation that eventually supports your progress without constant struggle. This is how success shifts from a distant goal into a natural state of being. When you repeat your system regularly, you wire your brain to expect certain behaviors. Over time, those behaviors become automatic. You don't need to fight resistance or willpower as much because the process becomes part of your identity. You become the kind of person who does what needs to be done without hesitation. This happens because your mind associates your system with your sense of self. This transformation is powerful because it frees you from relying on motivation alone. Instead, you rely on structure. You rely on routine. You rely on the system you have built. It's important to remember that building a system is not about rushing or forcing things to happen overnight. Growth is a gradual process that requires patience and self-compassion. When you commit to showing up every day, even if you feel tired or distracted, you are teaching yourself resilience. You are proving that your goals matter more than temporary feelings. This daily commitment creates momentum, which makes the path forward smoother. When success starts to feel natural, it's a sign that your system is working. It's also a sign that your mindset is evolving. The beauty of repetition is that it builds confidence. Each day you complete your system, you add to a record of achievement. This record strengthens your belief in yourself. You begin to see that change is not only possible, but inevitable. The actions you take consistently shape your reality. You stop doubting your ability to follow through. You stop waiting for external circumstances to be perfect. Instead, you take control of what you can control, your daily habits and choices. Sometimes progress is slow and that can feel discouraging, but the key to repetition is trusting the process, even when you don't see immediate results. The small improvements compound into larger changes over time. The system you follow daily creates a ripple effect in all areas of your life. Your work becomes more focused, your health improves, your relationships benefit from your increased presence. This holistic growth happens because the system supports not just one goal, but your overall way of living. Avoid the trap of trying to reinvent your system every day or week. Consistency wins over constant change. When you keep repeating the same framework, your brain learns what to expect and how to perform efficiently. Of course, you can refine and adjust your system as you grow, but don't let constant tweaking distract you from steady practice. Stability in your approach builds trust in yourself. It signals that you are serious about your future, and that seriousness attracts opportunities and resources you wouldn't otherwise notice. Repetition also helps you recognize patterns that need improvement. By sticking to your system daily, you become aware of what works well and what doesn't. This awareness allows you to make intentional adjustments that fine-tune your path forward. You learn to avoid distractions and reinforce habits that align with your goals. This clarity comes from experience gained through practice, not theory. The system becomes a tool for learning and growing smarter about your own life. Another reason repetition makes success feel natural is that it reduces decision fatigue. When you rely on your system, your daily choices become simpler. You don't waste mental energy debating whether to start or skip a task. Your routine guides you naturally into action. This frees up brain power to focus on creativity, problem solving, and higher-level thinking. You become more productive, not by doing more but by doing what matters consistently. It's essential to celebrate milestones along the way to keep your system sustainable. Recognition of progress fuels motivation and makes daily repetition enjoyable. You can track small wins and reflect on how far you have come. This practice builds positive emotions connected to your system. When you associate your habits with feelings of accomplishment, your brain reinforces the desire to continue. This emotional feedback loop is a powerful driver of lasting change. You might wonder what to do when life gets unpredictable or overwhelming. The system you repeat daily should include flexibility and kindness toward yourself. It's not about rigid perfection, but about persistence. When you miss a day or face setbacks, you don't abandon the system. Instead, you recommit with renewed focus. You acknowledge the challenges without guilt. This compassionate approach keeps you on track without discouragement. It's a realistic way to maintain long-term growth. Over time, the repeated actions of your system blend into your character. Your mindset shifts from external validation to internal standard. You stop chasing quick fixes or motivation spikes. Instead, you develop a deep discipline that supports your goals even when enthusiasm fades. This discipline creates stability and peace of mind. You trust yourself because you know you have a reliable process in place. You become the person who sees challenges as opportunities to apply your system, not reasons to quit. Remember that repetition is not a chore but a commitment to your future self. Each day you build trust between who you are now and who you want to become. This trust forms the foundation of lasting success. It's a quiet power that grows quietly, yet relentlessly. When success feels natural, it means your system has become an extension of your identity. It means you have moved from effort to flow, and it means your future is unfolding exactly as you designed it. Ultimately, the power of repeating your system daily lies in its simplicity and consistency. You don't need to be perfect or extraordinary to succeed. You need to be steady and intentional. The small daily actions you take add up to massive results. This is the essence of building a system that supports effortless growth. It's about making success inevitable by showing up every day with purpose and dedication. When you embrace this truth, you unlock the greatest potential inside yourself.